We are meeting in person in Nauset Room and Town Hall in a hybrid format with remote participation and are live streamed on Channel 1072. And I will take attendance. Tim?
I'm here.
Ginny?
Here.
Here.
Judith?
Here.
Jerry?
Here.
I am here. Druzy? Ken?
I'm here.
And David.
Present.
And we are joined by John Janelle, our conservation agent, and Christina Smith, our conservation office manager, and Mef Runyon, our liaison to the select board. Our first order of business this morning, notice of intent, Frederick and Patricia Eppinger by J.C. Engineering, map 50, parcel 10, the proposed 32 Hayward Lane. The proposed construction of a detached garage work will occur within the 100-foot buffer zone to the top of a coastal bank and within the Pleasant Bay ACEC.
I think our first applicant's online, joining us
We
online.
have someone online. Good morning. If you could introduce yourself for the record and let us know about your project.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is Sam Iamelli with JC Engineering on behalf of the owner and applicant at 32 Hayward Lane. This is a residential property developed with a single-family dwelling. The rear of the site abuts a water body referred to as the river, which stems from Little Pleasant Bay. Just about the entire site is within the buffer zone of a resource area and within the ACEC of Pleasant Bay. We have identified a coastal bank as the closest resource area, which sort of horseshoes around the southern portion of the site. This proposal is to construct a 758 square foot detached garage. We have situated the garage in the front yard just to the east of the existing gravel driveway. We're also proposing a small extension of the gravel driveway just in front of the garage, just to provide vehicle access into the garage. All of the work will remain outside of the 50-foot buffer to the coastal bank. An erosion control barrier will be placed between the proposed activities and the resource area. Additionally, we will be providing dry wells to infiltrate the roof runoff generated by the garage. And we will also stabilize and revegetate any disturbed areas upon finished construction. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay, just for your edification, you should know that in the Town of Orleans Conservation Commission regulations, 196A8, you'll see that the ACEC is a resource area. So, in fact, the closest resource area to your proposal is the ACEC, not the coastal bank.
Noted, thank you.
And then you can also take a look at 196A14, which talks about building in a resource area. So those are, I think, two important things for you to take a look at, and I think you'll probably get some comments on them from commissioners today.
Sure.
But just so you know. And with that, I will pass it over to commissioners. Hands raised, I guess. Judith?
Okay, I will start off. So yes, our chair already referenced the ACEC. So putting in a garage in the ACEC is a no-starter. And beyond that, it is the last section of property that's undeveloped, that is still naturalized. This property is developed and/or landscaped meticulously and from corner to corner. So this is the last little section that I could see when I did the site visit where there is still naturalized area. So to have that then become developed for a garage, and again within the ACEC, is just, I don't see anything about this that meets our regulations.
Other people? Other commissioners? David?
If you do come back with a revised proposal, the applicant has not signed the notice of intent, and we're going to need his or her signature on the notice of intent.
Or we can make sure to get that.
Yeah, go ahead, Ginny.
If you were to come back with a proposal that took the garage out of the ACEC and out of the 50, then all trees to be removed should be marked, and a robust mitigation plan should be submitted.
Yeah, I will also add, again, looking at our regs, if you look up the definition of cumulative effect, this property, to Judith's point, is pretty heavily developed already, and adding more development. We also state in 196A-7C.6 that any new building, if at all feasible, needs to be out of the 75 to a resource area. Not sure that's even possible on this property, but it's another regulation you should take a look at. And to Ginny's point, we need to know, if you come back with a proposal, any trees coming down, especially native trees, and would certainly require probably a 2-to-1 replacement based on how developed this property already is.
Josie,
Okay.
my brain has started to fire. So another piece of this is a reminder that there is a town regulation that prohibits use of fertilizer in the 0 to 100-foot buffer to any water resource. And one of the things we would require, I think, would be a buffer and pulling back mowed lawn from the edge of the coastal bank.
Tim?
If you did come back for another proposal, I'd like to see a diagram of the garage, you know, the height and such.
Certainly, yep.
Yeah, we also have a public view shed thing to consider, because if people can, depending on what you're looking at for this garage and the height of it, if it's visible from the water, that's another consideration that you need to pay attention to. Needs to blend in with its natural surroundings.
Right, okay.
And we do not allow dredging, grading in the ACEC.
Yeah, I think you're hearing that this building can't be in the ACEC without some sort of major concession about the fact that it will have absolutely no adverse effect, and in fact, you'll be improving the property. Ken?
Sam, couple questions about the the proposed garage, because I was struck by 758 square feet. That's a significant garage, and any specifics you can provide, like in terms of how many vehicles you envision there? Are you thinking of a second floor? And if you are thinking of a second floor, is that you thinking about a bedroom, an ADU, something like that? There's just a paucity of information about this on top of the questions that my fellow commissioners have posed. And I just want to ask you a couple questions about the construction notes. You have a reference to the Buzzards Bay National Estuary as a title reference. Is that applicable here?
It helped us identify the mean high water line that kind of sort of surrounds the southern portion of the lot.
So is Buzzards Bay just a generic title source?
Yeah, just a title datum that we use to sort of get mean high water, mean low water.
Okay. There's nothing closer?
There is.
Okay.
Pleasant Bay.
It
Pleasant Bay.
Yeah.
took me off in a direction. The Buzzards Bay is a long way from Pleasant Bay, and that's the body of water this is located on and that sort of thing. And then, to the extent you can provide, to give you a little idea of guidance that I had in back of my mind for the garage, the number of floors, if that's relevant, materials, lighting, other uses contemplated, elevations, cubic volume, I love that term. I feel like at this point, you're asking us to look at something that's really hard to look at, in essence, and I mean that in the most constructive way possible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can certainly provide some more information on the garage and visuals and materials and elevations, like you said.
The other question I had for you was, we've talked about a mitigation plan and with respect to the tree removals and potential replacement and the removal of the natives. I would really be helpful to me if the mitigation plan focused on the areas of highest value in that context.
Okay.
Because we've already noted that the property is so developed, and so the whole idea of a cumulative adverse effect, I think, is in play here. And to the extent that the mitigation can be clearly enunciated and articulated, that would be helpful to us.
Okay, certainly.
So, sorry for the litany of reasons that you need to continue this, but in the future, Sam, John Janelle, our conservation administrator, is always available for comments, and if you're not really familiar with Orleans, it's different from a lot of the other towns on the Cape. I would recommend reaching out to John ahead of time, and you can avoid many, many pitfalls, and even engineers that are familiar with the town reach out to John ahead of time to ease the pain for you and your applicant, and also not waste everybody's time.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback.
Sam, do you have any other questions for us? I think you've heard a list of things from us. Do you have any other questions that we can clarify for you before you take this away?
I don't think so at this point. I think we'll look to continue and see if we can make some improvements on this design here.
Okay. Anything else, guys, before? How much time do you need to continue?
What would be the first meeting in June?
June 2nd?
June 2nd. Can we look to continue to that date?
Yeah. Is there any public comment on this project in the room or online? Mia, anybody?
Nope.
Okay. Can I get a motion to continue?
I move to continue the discussion for the project for 32 Haywood Lane to 6/2/2026.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Ginny?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Teresa? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, our next order of business, certificate of compliance, Mark Kritzman and Elizabeth Gorman, 6 and 16 Hammett Road. The installation of 175 linear foot fiber roll array, management of invasive plant species, and lawn conversion to create a 25-foot native buffer. Work occurred within the 100-foot buffer zone to the top of a coastal bank, on a coastal bank, within land subject to coastal storm flowage, and within the Pleasant Bay ACEC. And John?
Yeah, we're in receipt of a request from Wilkinson Ecological, and the project is in compliance. I just want to go over the request. I did do my inspection. Everything looks very good. Obviously, nourishment was just put down on this site, if you're familiar with this piece of shoreline. And as per the plan, some of the nourishment was planted with American beach grass culms, and that looks very nice. Beach elevation in front of it's been monitored through the years and is also done well. The reporting shows there hasn't been any adverse impacts from the sediment nourishment. And so therefore, to lead off the requested continuing conditions, there is a request for sand nourishment. There's 5 specific requests to be included in an ongoing condition, excuse me. First is for sand nourishment of the array. And they're asking for a volume amount of nourishment to be up to 60 cubic yards. I think that's fine. It's appropriate with what's been going down and been doing well. And that's if necessary. I think my only recommendation to that is we'd probably affix it to a tighter date window, like where it has to be completed by May 1st. I think that's fairly typical of what we do. And so I would recommend we do that. They're asking for management and treatment of any resprouting Phragmites. You can barely see some of the dead root mass of the Phragmites stand that was there. I feel like it's pretty well done, but no issues with the request to treat any resprouting. They want to continue planting American beach grass as necessary in the sediment nourishment. I think that's great. And they're asking for minor maintenance and repairs of fiber rolls and repair after significant storm damage. That's usually fine. I think we would put a finer point on, like, no new materials without further commission approval on this. So tightening of cables and stuff like Wilkinson will ask for as a continuing condition is fine. Minor repairs, but new fiber rolls or new blankets going down is probably something that you should see. So I'd probably modify that. And then this is all per special condition 4. They're asking to be the contractor of record, which I would absolutely do, and then require some notice, which they also suggested. So, with all that, and the project's in compliance, you can close it today. You could include as ongoing conditions the 5 requested ongoing conditions with minor edits and vote on the project. If there are any questions, I think there's some representatives online, but the project looked very nice if they're listening. No issues with recommending you close it today with these ongoing allowances.
Is someone from Wilkinson, do you have any comments, or are you just listening in?
I believe they're just listening in, but they're welcome to speak if they have any comments.
Commissioners, questions in the meantime? Ken?
John, what was your interpretation in the item number 1 of long-term basis for the sand nourishment?
Well, 60 cubic yards is a fairly small volume for a shoreline of this length.
Right.
So the only thing I don't see in here is a trigger, and usually it's like if the fiber rolls become exposed, we can add that language. If the fiber rolls, we could add some further language too, like we had one where the fiber rolls simply go away and we just stop everything. So we can put a finer point on that. So long-term, my interpretation of that is as long as the initial project's still viable.
Okay.
If the initial project is entirely eroded away, we're no longer doing this. So I think we can add just a few words to make sure that's clear
Okay.
for future commissioners and the file.
Awesome, thank you.
Ginny?
And for all of the ongoing conditions, you want notice for all of the activities?
Yeah, and they were
So
recommending that as well. I liked how that works.
Just making sure.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Should I do every individual?
No, I think I would just, as requested with edits.
With John's edits.
As requested with edit.
Move to find the project for 6 and 16 Hammett Road in compliance with the following conditions and addition and edits as discussed.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Ginny?
Aye.
Dick?
Aye.
Judith?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Brucey? Aye. Ken?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, our next order of business, administrative review, Matthew Schmidt, 10 Larboard Lane. The proposed removal of 3 pine trees within the proximity of the dwelling and power lines. It's actually 2 pine trees and an oak.
I don't know if anyone's online for this.
Is there anyone on, Mia?
No one's raising their hand.
Mr. Schmidt? No?
Well, just to get the discussion going, so we did, I think, all commissioners now have an arborist letter that the Schmidts secured and distributed to you. And then Drusy and I were invited on the property to view the trees last Tuesday when we were out and about, and we have both seen them and can comment. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Oh, yeah, so Mr. Schmidt allowed John and I to go on the property. It wasn't a full on-site visit because this is an administrative review, just for the record. In my view of the trees, those 2 pine trees are very healthy, robust native trees. The oak tree, on the other hand, which is sort of standing right next to a power pole and power lines, seemed a little sickly. But unfortunately, the arborist letter that we received didn't comment at all on the health of the trees. It just commented on their proximity to wires and houses. So this is, I'd like to hear what other commissioners have to say. Tim?
I would agree with you. When I read the letter, there was no comments about the condition of the trees and such. So they would appear to be healthy trees, except for your comments. And if it is sickly and you observe that, then maybe just that tree should be removed and replaced.
Other commissioners? Ginny?
Not having seen the property or the trees, I defer to you.
Yeah, I mean, the trees are right down by the wetland. They're two very healthy, I think John would agree that they're healthy native trees. I'm not an arborist, but they weren't tilting, they weren't damaged in any way.
Yeah, I'm not an arborist, as you guys know, trained in forestry, but what we do is sometimes, if you walked around with me enough, and what Drusy and I did, just to share our site visit, we looked at the trees, so they're single stem, not codominant stem. There was no basal bark damage. Sometimes pitch pines do get that a lot, where carpenter ants get in those trees. And then we usually observe the first 4 to 6 feet of that 4 to 6 foot window for pitch tubes for turpentine beetle, which is the primary insect that will stress a tree of that type. We didn't witness too much of that, almost none of it actually. So single stem, no pests, healthy. The trees have been lifted with a pruning allowance a couple of years ago for the same, to try to alleviate the same concerns. But my closing remarks is that everyone knows the pitch pine. It's predominantly what we have in Orleans. Primary successional does taproot tree, so it's usually pretty stable, but prone to snapping. There was one that fell adjacent to the two that are standing that seemed to have some of that basal bark damage. It fell at the base into the wetland itself. I'm not sure if it's the homeowner's tree. And we'll encourage the homeowner to maybe watch this tape to get further information from them. But when those pitch pines do get large, obviously they're intimidating next to a home. The home's in the fall zone. All that is true. It's just, they do look healthy. They have been lifted already. They are off the house. That's kind of my report.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly can't agree to taking those trees down without replacements at the very least.
At the very least.
And because the homeowner isn't here to agree to any of these conditions, I would have to turn this down or
Yeah,
We
it's-
just
no action on it.
hold up action till we can have a conversation with the homeowners that
David?
might have difficulty joining our meetings.
I would agree. I'm always concerned about potential damage from trees, particularly when they've been limbed up and they have a lot of weight at the top and they're close to a dwelling. But without proposing replacements in a manner that we are happy with, I can't move on this at all.
Madam Chair, I didn't report on the oak. I had similar feelings on the oak tree as you did. I think going to the site, in my head, I was thinking, well, oaks and wires, I mean, you can really vigorously prune oaks and not kill them next to wires, and Eversource does that up and down every street in town. That being said, there was some successional growth. It was on the edge of the woods. It was less of an impact to the buffer zone for its removal in lieu of the conflict with the wires, because there was other trees there. There's still gonna be woods there if it were to go. So I kind of came away with less of a concern over the oak and more the pitch pine. But I think if the pines are absolutely a point of concern of the homeowners, then we really should talk about a replacement schedule. And they are large, and I don't know where the replacements would go, what species they would be, how many would be offered, who would be doing that work. There are some details we'd probably want to work out. So if there are more comments, but I think my suggestion, not seeing Matt on the call today, we're going to direct him to watch this and see what they want to do for next steps with you.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
think
that
it'd
gives a
be
sense of the commission.
helpful if he came to the office to discuss it. And again, because the arborist report didn't report on the health of the oak either, it's possible that could be trimmed and saved. It did have a lot of damage from vines. But, again, oak trees are can survive a lot, so, Judith.
So Also, not having seen the trees, it's very hard to say that, yes, I would think they needed to come down. You never know when a tree is going to come down and when it's going to stay up, but again, the fact that the arborist had no comment on the health of the tree or that it was in any way sick or damaged sort of tells me that this is completely optional. And so if it's an optional tree removal, I would look for a very healthy replacement before considering whether to take them down.
Go ahead, Ken.
John, is additional pruning off the table from your perspective?
Well, I think so. They've been lifted
Yep.
inappropriately off the roof, and I think we had evidence of, there was a branch on the roof. But they are off the house at this point. To prune them further would probably stress them and leave them with not enough canopy to fight off insects and stuff like that. So you don't want to do that. The pruning effort was 2 years ago now, I think. So I think we can ask for further information from an arborist on that, but I think that's the answer you would get.
Okay,
You're not going to leave them with enough canopy
great.
to lift them further.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so to the homeowner, when you're watching this, we're to take no action on this today, but I would encourage you to consult with John about various options you have, and then come back to the commission at a later date, which we can't set right now.
So I'll reach out to the homeowner, ask them to watch the meeting, and then try to have a discussion on next steps.
Okay. Okay, next order of business, administrator's business, discuss relocation of the gazebo at Eldridge Park onto Orleans Conservation Commission property.
Yeah, Tom DeServo, our recreation director, is getting into the Eldridge Park area for the project. There is a small gazebo that they offered up that I think is going to either be relocated or had to be relocated as part of that project. Didn't know if anyone had any interest in it. There was a suggestion. They thought it, Tom and Amanda thought it might be nice seating perhaps somewhere also in the Town Cove area, and the suggestion was for Meadow on the Cove. Didn't know if you had any interest in it. I photographed it, and this is me asking you if you got any interest. I don't know if you've all taken a look at the picture of it. I believe it was originally donated to the playground area.
I mean, Meadow on the Cove is buffer and resource, and putting a building there doesn't seem like,
Plus, it's one of the few open views that we have of the cove for the public. I agree on that. I've sat in that with my grandchildren many, many times, but I have no use for it on our property. Excuse me, the conservation.
I was going to say, you can have it.
I mean, it's a very sweet little gazebo, but it's sort of hard for me to picture a structure being appropriate to a conservation area. My first thought was, is there someone somewhere in near Putnam where it would be a good little spot for the growers or visitors to go and get out of the sun for a bit, but we're getting a barn there. So that sort of seems like we don't need yet more structure.
No.
So
Don't-
thinking very hard of our various properties, I don't really come up with any area that would benefit from a gazebo.
So fine, if the commission's all in agreement, that's fine. I would ask you to just vote to acknowledge that, so I can let Tom, just give Tom an answer so he can move forward with
Okay.
next steps.
Want to craft a motion?
I move to send an appreciation but a rejection of the offer of the gazebo at Eldridge Park for placing on Orleans Conservation property.
Second.
All those in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Jenny?
Aye.
Dave? Judith?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Lucy? Aye, Kent.
Aye.
Is there any public comment online? There's none in the room. And John, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it just occurred to me, perhaps they can check with one of the schools. It might be a little area for kids to picnic or for teachers to take a break.
It's a good idea.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's a good idea.
To Chitty's point, my brain's kind of waking up. It takes a while.
Yeah. Okay.
John, did you have?
Yeah, well, Thursday is our annual,
Updates.
Thursday we're doing an annual Kent's Point Workday. We're going to close conservation area, do some work with Friends of Lonnie's Pond, DPW, and whoever else would like to join us. We muster at 8 a.m. in the parking lot, or I might flag you right into the head of the point. It will be wet, so rain gear, please. It's rain or shine, so,
8 a.m.?
yep. We just have a few minor goals. If it's very wet, we'll probably just start moving the wood chips around the head of the point, which are already staged, and then do some brush removal on the north side if it dries out, which I think is breaking our way. So we'll do that Thursday and look forward to getting that done and having some fun.
For those of us that are coming, do you need us to bring anything in particular?
No, I think Friends of Lonnie's is gonna supply pizza for lunch, so I have a small little pop-up tent I'll try to bring. Just bring your rain gear. How about that? And
I thought the rain was supposed to end in the night.
I think it's in the morning, so yeah, it
In the
looked
morning.
bad yesterday.
It's changing, yeah.
We talked about the day, but we kept it, and so we'll post it today. It's online. Thanks to Amanda. The public should be aware, so sorry to divert you for one day, but ours for the day, and we'll try to do as much work as we can do on that day. And then that's pretty much all I have.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
For the commission, I'll have more on the barn. I think my, just so commissioners know, my MDAR update is due May 15th, so that's next Friday. So I'm putting together a formal update that I'll probably share with you over email. You'll see it before they see it. It'll be outside of our meeting schedule, but if you have any questions, we're building out there, so things are going pretty good. But we obviously still have a wicked tight schedule, so. So you'll see that next week, end of next week, maybe Thursday.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry, Tim.
I just have one concern. I don't know how to go about it, but the end of Barley Neck Road, the turnaround, there's a path that goes down there. It just seems to be getting a lot more eroded, and I know it's a lot of probably from foot traffic, but I also believe that, and I know there's been a lot of work down there with drains and such, but it just seems like there's still water going down there and maybe eroding it a little more. I'm not sure. But it is a concern, and I just wanted to bring it up to you.
Not,
Is it possible for you to go down in a rainstorm and
I can do
in the middle
that.
of the rain? And, I mean, I know that's sort of onerous, but it
No, that-
honestly
that-
is the best way to
Yes.
see what kind of erosion's going on, if you can
Okay.
get there in the rainstorm and take a little video.
Yes, I can do that.
the water definitely pours. There's that perpetual puddle that forms after rain.
Is that a DPW issue?
Yeah. But yeah, getting
I think bringing it to the attention.
photos of it would be good.
Would be a good
Yeah.
idea.
Okay, all right. I just didn't know if we had anything.
Sometimes even a berm with a diverting
Yeah, but, yeah,
the stream a little into the woods. Not always possible, but sometimes.
right, no,
Road-
understood, and I
Road
think.
goes right into
Yeah,
the
I
resource.
know.
And I think, that- and
I know.
I think that puddle that's forming there would just get enlarged, but, okay. I
Used to
will.
be my favorite spot to go after blue claw crabs with chicken necks, but
Fish cart guy.
Not
Okay, on that note, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.